What quarterback do you feel like has moved himself into the first round that maybe we didn't think? It could be a Jackson Dart. It could be the kid from Louisville. Like, who is it for you that you think probably will show up now in the first round?
It's a tough question there, but those two you mentioned, and I'm still not ruling out Jalen Milroe from Alabama there. He is easily the best athlete of this group. And even including the guys at the top. I mean, Milroe went a 4.3 something, whatever it was, 40. He's got a huge arm. He's explosive. He's 230, just cut up. I mean, there's a picture of him there. He is an outstanding athlete in space with a terrific arm and everything else that you could possibly ever need. It's just a matter of he's not a polished, pocket passer. He really needs some time. And I do feel like if a team has the ability to say, hey, we've got a veteran bridge in here that we're not going to have forever, Steelers, one of these other teams, and say, we want to get a guy that we can sit and develop on, because I do think that's going to have to become, NFL's not a developmental league, but the NFL is going to have to learn with some of these quarterbacks now and into the future with the transfer portal and everything else. You're not getting as much polish. So you're going to have to take guys sometimes that you have to sit and develop. And I think Milroe would be a guy based on the entire athletic profile that could surprise a lot of people and jump in there maybe at the bottom of the first, or at least still be QB3, that comes off the board after Shedeur. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And I almost feel like that's what we're going to see over a guy like Jackson Dart. And I love Tyler Shuck as well. And I hope people don't, discount him. I think he's a terrific, sneaky athlete for him. But Milroe is really the guy there that's got all the physical tools that the right quarterback coach and the right system, I think, that can make that work.
Nick Baumgardner on with us talking NFL draft. If I give you over-under on positions being taken in the first round, tell me over-under. Let's go quarterbacks, 3.5.
Under. I'll go 2 on that one, actually, right now.
Only 2 quarterbacks in the first round.
Oh.
And so that's only Cam and Shedeur.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Cam and Shedeur in the first round, and we'll see if somebody goes up at the bottom. But it's a logjam down there. It's going to have to be about preference. So either way, I would go under 3.5, 3 or 2.
Wide receivers, 3.5.
Oh, wide receivers, 3.5. Depends on what we call Mr. Hunter, but I would say over. I think we'll go over on that one.
How do you feel about T-Mac at Arizona? Like his stock, at least just by listening and reading tweets, has gone up and down, up and down. Big believers and big non-believers. Your thoughts on T-Mac?
Yeah, I think he's exactly where he was before the 40. It doesn't matter to me that whatever the time was. He's a big guy with terrific ball skills, nose long, like we just talked about. He's got all the metrics, measurables, whatever you want to call it, and he knows what to do with it. He's got a terrific catch radius. He's great in the air. I think there was also some talk that he wasn't necessarily all the way healthy last season. If you watch his tape from 2 years ago or year before last, whatever you want to call it, he was just, nobody could do anything with this guy. I think he's absolutely a top 10 pick still, or at least a top 10 player in this class, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the top 10. Really like him a lot.
One more over-under, running backs, 2.5, first round.
Ooh, I think over. No, I'm sorry, under. I'll say under, but barely. Under, but barely. I think 2 are going to go, and maybe a third. We'll see. But the running back class, again, it's one where teams will wait on this, right? Now, I'm not going to take one this year because we know we got a guy coming out next year. So there's a lot of teams in here that need a guy, and there's a few guys who you could talk yourself into here. So it would not shock me if it goes over, but I'll go slightly under on that one.
Final question for you, and I want to have you look into the future, into your crystal ball. Like a crazy draft day trade that you could probably see happening because you're hearing whispers like a Cousins to the Titans or something like that. Yeah. What are you hearing that could possibly happen?
Well, that's one right there. I think that, the guys at the top, what are Houston? I'm sorry, what are Tennessee and what are, you got me on the Oilers train now. What are Tennessee and Cleveland going to do at quarterback? I think that still remains sort of the big question for me. Are they going to try to get a guy like Cousins, or are they going to go in here and make something happen in the draft? I think that's the biggest one left. And I guess we'll see what happens with how Aaron Rodgers impacts everything else too. But for the most part, I feel like the quarterback carousel has sort of, we know where it's at least settled on, and there's only 2 questions at the top that we have left. So I'm not sure if it'll involve necessarily Cousins, if it's something else. But that to me feels like the one last piece sitting out there is, do one of those teams at the top say, okay, we're going to put him in there, kick the can down the road, and then, hope Arch Manning comes out next year, or one of these guys too. I think that's still going to be a factor with those teams at the top, is what next year's class could be in relation to what this year's class is.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.